A monumental week of college football is upon us, folks. It is week 7. It is going to be a glorious Saturday of college football. Welcome into the show, everybody. It's me, Ian Fritts. If you are new here, a lot of you are, go ahead, subscribe down below, like this video, turn that bell on, follow over here on the social medias as well. We have a big time show for you today. You know what week 7 is? It's the Red River rivalry. The only name that I call that because that is what it has always been to me for 25 years of life. It has been the Red River rivalry. It will always be the Red River rivalry. Now, the issue with that name is you can only say it one time, because if you try to say it back to back, you will run into some words that aren't words. So you run into that, but it is the best name. Triple R, RRR, Red River rivalry. It is this weekend. It is going to be awesome. Don't let Texas being unranked fool you into thinking that game is going to stink. It is going to be electric, folks. And then we have Alabama traveling up to Columbia, Missouri to take on the Missouri Tigers, undefeated. How about that for an appetizer before the Oklahoma-Texas game? Oh, and also at the same time the Oklahoma-Texas game is happening, we have Indiana, the Hoosiers, Kurt Cignetti. They're heading over to Eugene, Oregon to play Dan Lanning in the Ducks, Oregon Ducks. Indiana, Oregon, same time, 2:30 as Oklahoma, Texas, and then the night games. Oh, baby, we have about 5, 6, 7, 8 night games probably that should be on your screens. If you have YouTube TV, you got to have 4 games over here, and you have 4 more over here, and you got 8 games going at the same time. That's what we do here at the Infrared Show, and you can do it no other way if you love college football like we do. Without further ado, there's too much to talk about. Enough lollygagging, Ian. Let's get into the game previews, upset alerts, and then the picks for every top 25 teams game. Let's jump right into it. We're starting nowhere else other than the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma, technically, yes, they are the away team, so it is Oklahoma at Texas, even though we all know it is a neutral site game there in Dallas, Texas, at the Cotton Bowl. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, scenes in all of college football, split right down the middle. You got the crimson over there, and then you got the burnt orange on the left there. It is magnificent. If you've never been, this is one of those things, one of those games, one of those atmospheres that you must experience if you are a college football fan, like all of you are out there. It is magical, even when the game's a blowout. Magical for certain fan bases. Look at the 49-0 a couple years ago. Texas won at 49-0. It was magical for those Texas fans. Now, miserable for the Oklahoma fans, but magical for those Texas fans. And in most years, we get a magical football game, and I'm expecting a magical football game, 2:30 on Saturday. Okay, look, Oklahoma, number 6 in the country. Texas is unranked after their loss to Florida last weekend. And you're thinking, oh, yeah, Oklahoma's probably favored by 6, 7, right, Ian? No. As of right now, Texas is favored by 3.5 against the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, there is a question mark for the Oklahoma Sooners coming into this game. John Mateer, how's that thumb doing? How's that right thumb right here doing? Is it okay? Are you ready to roll? Will we know until kickoff? Probably not. So is that baked into that line there? I tend to believe Oklahoma without John Mateer, that line makes sense. Oklahoma with John Mateer, I think it'd probably be closer to a pick'em, if not Oklahoma favored by 1 or 2. Some people out there believe differently. That's okay. That's what they can think. I think they're wrong. Oklahoma, doesn't matter. Not favored in this one. It's Texas minus 3.5 as of right now. Now, this game is gigantic for both of these teams' seasons. Okay, Oklahoma, you win this game, you're 6-0. You're 2-0 in the SEC. You've got wins over Auburn. You've got wins over Texas. 2 really good defenses in the conference. Not only the conference, but the entire country. Now, if you win it with Michael Hawkins, that gets you that is really good news for you, because that means you won against a really good defense with your backup quarterback. You didn't even need John Mateer to get this one done. Now, if you lose, that's not great. That's not great because of the public perception. The public perception of Texas coming into this game, a lot of those people aren't going to know Texas is favored. A lot of those people aren't going to know that it's Texas minus 3.5 and not Oklahoma minus 8. Okay, a lot of people aren't going to know that. So the public perception after Oklahoma, if they lose this game on Saturday, is going to be disastrous for that team and that fan base. People are going to be calling for Brent Venables' jobs probably. He's only had one win against Texas so far. If he can't get it done against this, it might be a Kirby Smart Alabama situation. We will find out on Saturday. Now for Texas, you win. This is validation for a lot of those Texas fans that some people are calling lunatics, delusional, maybe a little sedated because of their views of Texas this year, their views that this team isn't that far off. We're really, really close. Did you see what we did against Sam Houston State? Did you see that game? We're really close. Arch is coming along. The offense is coming along. This would be validation. This would be validation for those fans. Now, if you lose, this basically ends all of Texas's preseason hypes and hopes. They were the preseason #1 overall team in the country. Now they're not ranked. They were the preseason national championship favorite, SEC championship favorite. So all of those dreams, if OU beats Texas this weekend, are crushed for the Texas Longhorns. And not only that, but your top three rivals in college football are rolling, and you are not. That would be Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma, all rolling, all in the top 10. And then there's the Texas Longhorns, if they lose this weekend, sitting there at 3-3. Would be a disastrous weekend if you're a Texas Longhorn fan if you lose. So you can't lose. Now, let's jump into the game. If you are new here, how I break down the games is I talk about a couple things that I know about both teams, and then I have a couple questions, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three for each team. My biggest questions going into Saturday that I need answered. And if we get answers for those questions, we will know who wins the game. Now, we always start with the visiting team for this one, neutral site, but Oklahoma is the away team on Saturday. So we're going to talk about Oklahoma first here. What do I know about this Oklahoma Sooner football team? First up, it's obvious, it's easy. Number one, the defense is elite. Let me spell that out for you. ELITE, elite. Yes, it is that good. And you're thinking, they haven't played any offenses. They're not very good. I bet you're the same person that thinks Ohio State's defense is elite. I bet you're the same person that last year at this time was saying Texas's defense is elite. Well, very similarly, those two teams haven't played great offenses. Texas of last year, Ohio State of this year, they haven't played great offenses. However, the numbers do not lie. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter who you're playing if you have these numbers that this OU defense has. Let me just run through them because it is astonishing what this defense is doing. Number 2 in points per game given up, only behind Ohio State. And those are the only two teams in the country that are allowing single-digit points per game. They are number 2 in yards per game. They are number 2 in points per play. They are number one in yards per play. They are number 2 in third down defense. That means they're getting off the field, forcing a lot of 3-and-outs, this team. They're number 2 in yards per rush. They're number 1 in sack percentage. Okay, I believe they're at about 7-8%, maybe 9% in sack percentage. They have 21 sacks this year, tied with Tennessee for the most in the entire country. Unbelievable stuff from the Oklahoma Sooners. And then they're also number 1 in tackles for loss. Let me just throw this out there. They've played 5 games. What do you think is a reasonable number for the team that is leading the country in tackles for loss through 5 games? Through 5 games, how many tackles for loss would you say is reasonable? Probably like 38, 40? Yeah, maybe about 7, 8 per game, I think would be pretty good. Oklahoma has 50. They're averaging 10 tackles for loss per game. I went through and did the due diligence so you don't have to, so I can tell you this information. I went through every single snap, counted them all up that OU has played. This disregards the 1 or 2 play drives before halftime that they faced where the team just kneels it out. So they have faced X amount of snaps. I believe it's around 240 snaps on defense. On 18.5% of those snaps that this team has faced defensively, 18.5%, almost 1 out of every 5 snaps, they get a tackle for loss. Almost 1 out of every 5 snaps, this OU defense gets a tackle for loss. That disrupts a game. That disrupts a game script. That messes with the offensive coordinator. He said, I can't get anything going because these guys are living in our backfield. That's what this Oklahoma Sooner off defense has done the entire year, just wreaking havoc. Now, they have been a little shaky in some spots, okay? This is where it gets a little bad for the OU defense. They're number 6. Yes, number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in opponent completion percentage. And they are number 5 in pass yards per game. Not great. Not great when you compare it to 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. In all of the other defensive statistics, this defense, at its worst statistical category, disregarding turnovers, it is number 6. That is an elite defense by every metric, by every means. The eye test is popping right out at you. This team is scary to deal with on the defensive end, okay? So, first thing I know, this Oklahoma defense is elite. E-L-I-T-E, elite. Second thing I know is that this team needs John Mateer. Okay, this team needs John Mateer. They have a championship caliber defense, not just SEC championship caliber. I'm talking national championship caliber defense to go win a national championship. Okay, now without John Mateer, a lot of you probably didn't watch that game against Kent State, where Michael Hawkins Jr. was the quarterback there. A lot of you didn't watch it. Unlike me, I watch every second of almost every game each weekend. We watched every second of that game. And it was disappointing, to say the least, if you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Michael Hawkins Jr., rough. The offensive line, rough. The skill guys, outside of a man named Isaiah Satania and their tight end, Jaron Kanik, they can't make anybody miss. They seemingly get the ball, and they get hit, and they get tackled, and they don't have a lot of dynamic playmakers. Okay? Now, all of that can go out of the way, can be disregarded when you have a Heisman caliber quarterback like a John Mateer. All of that can go out the window. But it's not going out the window. It's kind of staying in the room with you right now if you got Michael Hawkins Jr. trotting back out there if you're Oklahoma Sooner. Okay? This team needs John Mateer to get where they want to go. Now, I'll get to it in the questions here in a second. Do they need him this weekend? We will find out. What do we know about the Texas Longhorns, folks? What do we know about the Texas Longhorns? First thing I know, it's not great. It is not great. Texas Longhorns, I'm sorry. I feel for you out there. I was there with my team this time last year. I'm an OU fan, by the way. OU last year, abysmal offensive line. It got Jackson Arnold killed. It got Michael Hawkins Jr. killed. Right now, Texas is going through a very similar situation on the offensive line. The offensive line for the Texas Longhorns, this is the first thing I know. It is excruciatingly bad. Like, it hurts your eyes to watch this unit play football from what they were a year ago. Yes, they lost 4 guys to the NFL. I said it in the preseason, coming into the game, all offseason. I said, hey, they're replacing 4 guys on the offensive line. They're not going to be as good as people think they're going to be. They're just not replacing all of those NFL talent guys. That's not how it works. Okay, it takes some time. And it's taking a long time to get this unit good, and they might be getting worse, ladies and gentlemen. This offensive line from the Texas Longhorns is really, really bad. And you can just look at the Florida game from last week. Okay, Florida, I believe, was in the hundreds in teens, 112, somewhere around there in pressure rate and in sack percentage of the quarterback going into the Texas Longhorn game. What did they do in that game? Anybody? Yeah, you out there. Yeah, they had 6 sacks, and they pressure Arch Manning on 25% of his dropbacks. For those of you that aren't good at math, that's 1 out of every 4. So if you have four pass plays in a row, one of those, Arch Manning's under duress. Does he get a sack? I don't know. But he has to move around in the pocket, has to evade pressure because Florida was living in the backfield. If you recall, did you hear what I said about the Oklahoma defense? They live in the backfield more than any other team in the entire country. And they're going up against an offensive line that is abysmal, that is atrocious, that hurts your eyes. You would rather close them, maybe take your eyeballs out of your head than watch this offensive line play football. It's bad. It is bad. That's the first thing I know about this Texas team. Second thing I know, it's positive. And you're thinking, there's positive? Have you seen Texas play football? I have. I've seen them play every game. The defense is really good. Now, it's not elite like this Oklahoma unit, but it is really, really good. Every level, they have Colin Simmons on the defensive line. They have Anthony Hill at the linebacker position, Michael Taff on the secondary, and they have other guys. Those are the flashy big names that they have that are going to be elite players at the next level, the NFL. But they have other guys around them that are not quite as good, but really, really good. Really, really good. They're number 3 in points per game. They're right behind Oklahoma and Ohio State. I believe they're at about 12.2 points per game allowed. They're number 9 in yards per game, number 6 in points per play, number 14 in third down defense, and then number 9 in yards per rush. Now, compared to those Oklahoma numbers, yeah, it doesn't quite compare. However, this is still a really, really good unit, and they still bottle up the opposing offenses that they face. So we've got bad offensive line, really good unit, on the defensive side of the ball. That's what I know about Texas. Now, let's get into my biggest questions for each of these two teams. Now, I alluded to it for Oklahoma here. I said, do they need John Mateer on Saturday? Now, that's kind of an impossible question for us to answer, but we will find out after the game if they needed John Mateer, whether or not he played or lost or didn't play. We will find out if he plays and if he doesn't play, if they actually needed him to win this football game. But my biggest question on Saturday is this defense going to be enough? Because I'm operating very similarly to Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian. He said that he is operating under the fact that he thinks, under the assumption that John Mateer is going to start this football game. That's the Texas head coach, Steve Sarkisian. He thinks John Mateer is going to play. They're preparing to play John Mateer. Brent Venables is preparing to play without John Mateer. I'm going to side with Brent Venables. Now, I don't have to prepare for them, so I probably would if I was Steve Sarkisian. I would probably prepare for John Mateer because that is the best the offense has looked is under John Mateer. I would prepare for Oklahoma's best. Smart head coach by Steve Sarkisian there. So my question, is the defense good enough to carry them to a victory here in the Cotton Bowl? One thing I know about the Cotton Bowl, most statistical categories you can throw out the window, and when these two teams line up to play, you're going to get some probably some skewed results that don't necessarily line up statistically. If Mateer plays, I think the defense really probably doesn't have to be that elite level. But if he doesn't, they will have to be. Can they do it? Biggest question for the Texas Longhorns, the exact same question that I just asked for the Oklahoma Sooners. Is the defense going to be enough? Is the defense going to be good enough to get maybe a couple turnovers here or there, maybe flip the field with a fumble recovery? Something is going to have to give for each of these two defenses to help their offense out. Both of these offenses are going to need help, whether that's points, turnovers, just not allowing the opposing offense to move the ball at all. Something is going to have to help the offenses for both of these two teams to get going, to help them score points, because these offenses are not going to score points just by themselves. They haven't done it all year. They're not just going to magically do it against really good defenses, in Oklahoma's case against a really good defense, in Texas' case against an elite defense in that Oklahoma Sooner defense, okay? So biggest question for both of these teams, is the defense good enough to carry them to a victory? We will find out on Saturday. Now, the pick, who do I think is going to win the Red River Rivalry 2025 edition? Now, if you're new here, I strictly pick the games based on my gut. I don't look at any statistical profiles. I watch every game every weekend, and then on Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever I am preparing for the show, I look at the game, I look at the line, boom, gut instinct, gut reaction, that's who I'm picking, that is what I'm going with. And when I stare at this game, boom, instantaneously, it was the Texas Longhorns to beat the Oklahoma Sooners in the Red River Rivalry. And I know you're thinking, Ian, what? Did you hear the statistics that you read? Yeah, I heard them. In fact, I've watched OU every single game this year. They're a better football team. I don't care. My gut doesn't care. The Texas Longhorns are going to win on Saturday. Mark my words. It's going to happen, folks. It is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, just disregard everything I have just said. Next game up, it's the Indiana Hoosiers at the Oregon Ducks. Number 7, Indiana at number 3, Oregon. Oregon is favored currently by 8.5 points. Now, two incredible head coaches. You've got Kurt Sig, over there at Indiana, and they've got Dan Lanning at Oregon. Two awesome head coaches. They prepare well. They always have their guys ready to play, always fight hard, always play hard. That's what we're going to expect on Saturday from these two teams when they play at 2:30. Now, this is easily the best team each one has faced. Okay, Indiana, probably their best team that they have faced is Illinois. They beat them a gazillion to nothing. And then Oregon, the best team they faced is Penn State. We know what Penn State is. I've been a hater all year. Turns out I was right. Turns out all the haters of me hating on Penn State were wrong. Shocker. It's like when you watch all the football, you kind of know what you're talking about. That's what we do here at the Fritts Show. Now, the game. What do I know about this Indiana Hoosier football team? First thing I know, Fernando Mendoza. That's their quarterback there. That's their starting quarterback there. They also have another man, Mendoza. That's his little brother, younger brother, the backup quarterback. So they may, interchange them. Who knows? Who's starting out there? It's going to be Fernando Mendoza the entire game. He's their best quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. In fact, on social media here tomorrow, I will be having a video talking about my top 10 quarterbacks in all of college football. Be sure to tune in on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram to see that as well. Mendoza will appear in that list. Spoiler. He's a known commodity. We know what we're going to get from Fernando Mendoza. He's a veteran. He's an accurate passer. He reads the defense well. He can bring it down, tuck it, and run when he needs to. Indiana didn't have that last year in Curtis Rourke. Curtis could do it. Rourke could do it, but not to the level that Fernando Mendoza can do. And sidebar, saying Fernando Mendoza is just fun to say. So I may say that about 3,000 times during the show, and that's okay because Fernando Mendoza. You get it? Yeah, you should. He's awesome. He's going to be awesome on Saturday. I have no doubt in my mind. He's going to play well. Second thing I know about this Indiana Hoosier team is that the defense is legit, okay? The defense is for real. They know what they're doing. They are sound fundamentally. They are sound in how they prepare. You look at the Illinois game a couple weeks ago, and you thought, man, Luke Altmaier is going to have this team humming. He's going to have this team humming. The offense has been great for Illinois to start the year, and even the weeks after that game against Indiana, the offense from Illinois has been spectacular. So you look at how Indiana was able to do what they did. Well, they get after the quarterback. They're number 13 in sack percentage in the entire country. They're number 1 in interception percentage, not necessarily in interceptions in the entire year, but in interception percentage. How many throws have they faced? How many interceptions do they have? The highest percentage in that. And they're number 9 in third down defense, number 6 in yards per game, and number 3 in points per game. That's a legitimate good defense, okay? Through 6 weeks of the season, the statistics hold up. They're not lying to us. They're not giving us this falsified defense of this Indiana Hoosiers. No. They're really good, and they can rush the passer, and they can rush the passer extremely well. That is the catalyst of that defense. Now, what do we know about the Oregon Ducks? Dante Moore is the best quarterback that Indiana has faced. And you're thinking, what? No, Ian. Luke Altmaier, Illinois, right? No. Dante Moore's a better quarterback than Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is putting up numbies, okay, at Illinois. Numbies at Illinois. But Dante Moore is a better passer, a better quarterback. He is more athletic than Luke Altmaier. He's the best overall quarterback, and it helps that he's on a better overall team than Luke Altmaier was at Illinois. But Dante Moore's a better quarterback. He's the best quarterback that Indiana has faced this season, and I would say by considerable margin, okay? Second thing I know about the Oregon Ducks. The offensive line is for real, okay? The offensive line from the Oregon Ducks is for real. You know that Penn State defensive line? They're a good unit, whether or not you want to believe that even after the UCLA game, whatever. They are a good unit, that Penn State defensive line. And Oregon has been statistically the best offensive line at protecting the quarterback. They have the least sack percentage in the entire country given up, okay? In the entire country. Number one. Can't get any better than number 1. That's Oregon. Now, they're facing an Indiana team that gets after the quarterback almost better than anyone in the entire country. So how are they going to hold up? I think they're for real. I think they're going to hold up well. I think I know that. Is it true? I think it is. The offensive line from Oregon is phenomenal. Dan Lanning, they rolled in here. They transfer portal these guys in. I believe 3, possibly 4 of the offensive linemen are transfer portal guys, and they hit on all 4 of them on the offensive line. You know how hard that is to do? Texas didn't do that. They thought, we recruited these guys. These are going to be our guys moving forward. They are going to give us a chance to win. Didn't work out. Oregon saw that they needed big bodies, veteran guys on that offensive line, and they went out and got them, and they paid them, and it's paying off for the Oregon Ducks. The offensive line is for real. Biggest question for the Indiana Hoosiers, can the running game travel? Okay, we know usually that defenses and running games travel to the opposing, to a big-time road environment, okay, because there's not as much communication from the quarterback to the offensive line in terms of how they're going to protect in the passing game. Instead, it's, hey, this is the run, this is where you're going, these are the guys you're going to get, okay? That's the communication. They don't really necessarily have to hear as much as they would in the passing game. They still have to communicate, but it's easier for that to travel than a really good passing game. In Indiana, does have a really good both, but they are particularly good at running the football. They have 4 guys over 200 yards rushing. Who's going to have a big game? They got 4 options. They have 4 options. Clearly, they have a number 1 running back. He is substantially more rushing yards than the other 3, but they have 4 guys over 200 yards. Is that going to show up on Saturday? If it does, you can kind of play keep away from Oregon. Don't let Dante Moore, the best quarterback you faced, get the football. Are we going to see a really good running attack from Indiana? Are they going to move the defensive line from Oregon off the football? That's my biggest question for the Hoosiers. Biggest question for the Ducks. Is the defense for real? Still, to this day, it's week 7 coming up on Saturday. They have not faced a high-level offense. This, by far, in a way, is the best offense they have faced. Indiana can throw the football. They have really good wide receivers. Surratt out there. They have a 6'6" wide receiver. I'm blanking on his names. I believe his last name is Williams Jr. 6'6" out there. They have guys to catch the football on the perimeter, and then they have 4 running backs that they can hand the ball to. Is Oregon going to be able to corral all that? So far, statistically, yeah, the defense has been really good for Oregon. Haven't been tested. Are they going to be tested by Indiana this weekend? Yes. Is it for real? Now, the pick. Folks, again, the gut was strong on this one. The Oregon Ducks are going to win on Saturday. However, it will be close. Give me Indiana to cover. Next game up, Alabama at Missouri. Wow, how about a game right here? Going to take a sip before we dive fully into this one. And if you wouldn't mind, while I'm taking a sip, go ahead and drop down below. Comment, Ian, awesome so far. Can't wait to see the rest of the video. Or just comment, we love you, and I will respond to you. That's good. Got to take a second sip here. Give you more time to write that comment. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. Okay, Alabama at Missouri. Number 8, Alabama, traveling up to Columbia, Missouri to play the number 14 Missouri Tigers. Alabama is currently favored by 4.5. Huge game. SEC championship implications for both of these teams. Probably postseason implications for both of these teams. Some would think, I've seen some people think that Alabama isn't favored by enough in this football game. I've also seen people say Mizzou is getting disrespected. Let's jump into it. What do I know about the Alabama Crimson Tide? First thing I know, Ty Simpson is a difference maker. You know that top 10 quarterback ranking I referenced earlier? That's going to be on the Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Ty Simpson is going to be another quarterback that is going to be on that list. He's a difference maker. This is now his 3rd big-time road environment that he will have faced through 7 weeks of the college football season. So half of his games at the end of this one will have been big-time road atmospheres. You had at Florida State, you had at Georgia, and now you have at Missouri. Okay, so he's been in this environment before. And if you remember, if you didn't watch the show, my biggest question for Alabama was how's Ty Simpson going to handle that road environment? He came out swinging and he handled it to perfection, basically. So he's been there. We know he can do it. I expect Ty Simpson to have a big-time football game on Saturday. Second thing I know about the Alabama Crimson Tide, they are finding their footing in the run game. Okay, they are figuring it out. Finally had a 100-yard rusher in Jam Miller last week against Vandy. They are getting it going. Okay, I expect to see more of that on Saturday against Mizzou. What do I know about the Missouri Tigers? Ahmad Hardy, running back from Mizzou, he is the best running back in all of college football. The best. This guy was at Louisiana last year. You're thinking, oh, LSU to Missouri? He downgraded? No. Louisiana. The school, Louisiana. Not LSU. Louisiana. That's where this man was at. And he transferred in to Missouri, and he has not stopped being the best running back in all of college football. True sophomore, by the way. He has 770 yards rushing. That's more than 300 more than the next guy in the SEC. He is unbelievable. Alabama has yet to face a running back like him. Every team in the country has yet to face a running back like him unless they have played Missouri. Okay, second thing I know. Missouri's rested. Missouri is rested. Schedule dynamics favor Missouri heavily in this football game. They're off a bye week. Alabama, what have they done recently? Oh, they had a bye. Then they went to Georgia. Then they had to play a revenge game against Vanderbilt at home. Then they're traveling to Missouri. And then, next week they get Tennessee at home. Schedule dynamics heavily favor the Missouri Tigers here. Does it play a factor? Probably. Missouri's going to be rested. They were at home watching Alabama play last week. They were at home while Alabama was in a dogfight against Vanderbilt for 90% of that football game. Now, biggest question for Alabama. Has the defense figured out how to stop the run? Okay, it was a problem going into the Vanderbilt game. It was my biggest question going into the Vanderbilt game. And if you look at the second half of the Vanderbilt game, really from the second quarter on, that question was answered. Yeah, Alabama figured out how to stop the run. Now, Mizzou's the best run team they have faced this point in the season. Okay, they faced a very good rush attack in FSU, a very good rush attack in Vanderbilt. Georgia was able to run the football on them. Virtually every team they faced has been able to run the football on them, but there was a switch. Something flipped in that second quarter against Vanderbilt where they stopped the run. Does that continue, or was that just an in-game thing that they were able to stylistically match up against Vanderbilt? They didn't have the bodies, the running back, to match up against Alabama, and they were able to shut them down. Or have they really figured out how to stop the run? Because they're going to need to on Saturday. First thing I know, or biggest question for Missouri. Bama's offense is by far the best offense, the best group that Missouri has faced. Kansas is probably next in line, and Kansas does not compare to what Alabama offers offensively. Okay, they got 3 wide receiver ones. They now have a really good running back in Jam Miller. They have a top 10 quarterback in Ty Simpson. They have a really good offensive line. Also, they have a left tackle that they sometimes throw the ball to, hand the ball off to, and he's 6'8", 350 pounds, and he can run faster than you and me. This is the best offense you have faced. Is the defense as good as statistics say? Is it as good as the statistics say? We'll find out on Saturday. Now, the pick for the game, ladies and gentlemen. Alabama. Give me the Alabama Crimson Tide to beat Missouri on the road in Como. I think Alabama's going to get it done. Don't know how. I think it's going to be close, but I like Alabama to win this football game. Next up, upset alerts. Let me take a sip here from the mug. If you're new here, the way I do my upset alerts is I take 5, 6 games, maybe 7 games that are 6-point spreads or more, and I rank them from most likely upset to least likely upset. Least likely upset to most likely upset. So I'm not going to rank them just yet. We will address the games on your screen. Ohio State is traveling to Illinois. Ohio State is favored by 16.5 currently. Pitt traveling to Florida State. Florida State's favored by 8.5, 9.5, Indiana traveling to Oregon. Indiana's favored by 8.5. Florida traveling to Texas A&M, favored by 8.5. The Aggies are. And then Texas Tech at home against Kansas, favored by 14. And then Notre Dame at home against the NC State Wolfpack. Side note, 2 elite level mascots there in that game. And the Fighting Irish and the Wolfpack. Notre Dame's favored by 22.5. Now, least likely upset of these 6 games I have on your screen. In my mind, it's Kansas at Texas Tech. If you watch the recap show, if you follow me on social media, you know that I have Texas Tech ranked as my number 4 team in the country. It's because they've been dominant. They've won every game by, I believe, 23 points or more every single game. Utter domination, just offensively, defensively, doesn't matter who they're playing. They run over your face offensively and defensively. That is the least likely upset of these 6 games in my mind. Next up is NC State at Notre Dame. I just don't know if NC State has the firepower offensively to hang with Notre Dame, because NC State's defense is susceptible to letting people score a lot of points on them. So I expect Notre Dame to score some points. Can NC State keep up? I don't think so, but I'm putting it on your radar, because NC State can run the football extremely well. That's their key to victory here if you're an NC State Wolfpack fan. Next up, 4th most likely upset of these 6, Ohio State at Illinois. Again, similarly to Texas Tech, Ohio State's been dominant. I wouldn't be shocked if we had a similar result to Indiana, Illinois. If we had a similar result to Indiana, Illinois, would not be shocked. However, Illinois does have a good quarterback, best quarterback Ohio State has faced so far, so that factors in. That's their key to success. Luke Altmaier is going to have a really good day if they get it done. Top 3. These next 3 are all kind of the same to me, kind of in the same sphere of most likely upset. But I have at number 3, Indiana at Oregon. Again, we talked about it earlier. If Indiana was able to run the football well, and keep Dante Moore in that offense off the field. That's their key to success. That's how they win the football game. Second most likely upset is Florida at A&M. Okay, we saw it last week. We saw it a couple days ago with Texas and Florida. Florida can come out and punch you in the mouth with the running attack. Are they going to do that against A&M? Or has A&M solved all their defensive problems? Statistically, they've looked much better since that Notre Dame game. Have they solved all the problems? I don't know. But Florida, you're going to have to run the ball well against A&M on Saturday night to win that football game. And then my most likely upset is Pitt at Florida State. Now, you're thinking, Pitt at Florida State? Ian, really? Really? Yes. Okay, sound the alarm bells. Florida State, woo, 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 woo. They're susceptible to deep passing attacks. You know who's really good at that? Pitt. Their starting quarterback now, a man named Mason Heinschel, I believe. I could be butchering his last name. It's a hard name to pronounce. True freshman, incredible first start last week. Was that just a one-hit wonder, or is he really that good? I think he's really that good, and Florida State has been susceptible to the deep passing attack. Watch out for that in the Pitt Florida State game. Let's get into the picks now. First up, top 25 matchup in the group of 5. Excuse me, not top 25. USF is 23-24 maybe. They're traveling to Denton, Texas to play the North Texas Mean Green on Friday night. Watch this football game if you didn't have any plans on Friday night. And even if you do have plans, watch this football game. North Texas favored by 2.5 here. The gut was telling me North Texas Mean Green, get it done. Give me North Texas on Friday night. Next up, Alabama 4.5 at Missouri. You already know I have Alabama winning, but the gut tells me it's under 3 points. Give me Mizzou to cover. Ohio State minus 16.5 at Illinois. I have Ohio State there minus 16.5 in that one. Pitt at Florida State. It was my number one on the upset alert board. Okay, so we have Pitt covering the 9.5 there. Washington State, no chance at Ole Miss. Give me minus 32. Give me 50 in that game. Indiana at Oregon. It's Indiana plus 8.5 all day. Iowa State at Colorado. I like Iowa State to bounce back after their loss at Cincinnati. I'll give me the points there as well. And then Oklahoma at Texas. You already know I'm riding Texas. The gut, I know it doesn't make any sense, folks. It does not make any sense. But the gut is telling me, screaming at me, Texas, take the Longhorns. NC State at Notre Dame. Fighting Irish. Give me NC State to cover. I think 22.5 is too many points. And then Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. I like Virginia Tech to cover the 14.5, even though they are a terrible football team. Last 8 games up here. Arkansas at Tennessee. Taylor Green, are we going to have a chance? No chance. Give me Tennessee minus 13.5. Florida at A&M minus 8.5. It was on the upset alert board. Do I believe in it? Kind of, yeah. Give me Florida plus 8.5 there. Georgia minus 3.5 at Auburn. I think this is the week where Georgia finally gets after the quarterback. Have not done it all year. I think the tide will change on Saturday night. Michigan at USC. Michigan, number 15 team in the country. USC, unranked. Michigan traveling across the country. Give me USC minus 2.5. I like Jaden Maiva to have a huge game in that one. Kansas at Texas Tech. It's Texas Tech minus 14. South Carolina, I like them plus 10 at LSU. Now, that one did give me a little pause. The gut was a little queasy on that one. Wasn't really sure what to do with that one, but I like South Carolina minus 10. And then BYU at Arizona. Bear Bachmeier. Yeah, I love him. Give me him minus 2.5. And then Arizona State at Utah minus 5.5. I'm sorry, Arizona State. I've got to go with Utah minus 5.5 in that one. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That is the entire show. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe down below. I love you guys. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
25-40, 45-50.